From one business owner to another, from one dad to another, from somebody that's just trying to live a healthier lifestyle to another. I'll be the first one to admit to you that it's hard at times. Now, you might not run a business like myself, but that doesn't mean that you still might not struggle with time management and work-life balance. You might not have a child, but that doesn't mean that you still don't have responsibilities to take care of. And I understand, as somebody that's just trying to live a healthier lifestyle, it can be frustrating and confusing at times with all the misinformation that's out there. I mean, let's face it, there's millions of different diets to choose from, and you're just trying to get in the best shape of your life without cutting out your favorite foods. Now, if this is starting to sound anything like you, then this video is really going to help you out, because I'm going to be going over the top 5 struggles that most guys like myself, and probably you do as well, face on a day-to-day basis. And don't worry, I'm going to make sure to give you plenty of tips to also help you overcome these challenges. Let me give you the quick rundown. The first challenge is lacking the time for exercise. The second challenge is feeling stressed and burnt out. The third struggle is poor food choices. Fourth is lack of sleep. And lastly, the fifth and probably the biggest one is low energy levels and lacking the motivation. Now, with that being said, let's dive into lacking the time for exercise. It can be incredibly challenging finding time to exercise, especially if you have these long work hours. And you start to feel a little guilty every time you start to cut back from either work or taking time away from the family and these other responsibilities that you have just to get a workout in. If that does sound like you, hopefully these tips can really help you out. Before we dive into those tips, let me just say this, because this is a big mental shift for most guys to understand, but working out is literally just the icing and the sprinkles that's on top of the cake. The batter, 80 to 90% of the results that you're ever going to achieve, this is all going to come from nutrition, not the workouts. Now, I'm not saying you need to avoid working out, because let's face it, working out is a great stress relief. It's also going to help you build more confidence, and at the same time, it's going to help you have way more energy. But you don't need to be obsessed with your workout routine, and it's okay to be flexible with it. That's all I'm trying to get at. Now, with that being said, I highly recommend doing just short, quick workouts, anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes. And here's the best part. You can do these right at home with or without equipment. If you have access to dumbbells or kettlebells, I tell you what, you can probably get in the best shape of your life just by doing short, quick workouts 3 to 4 times a week with that. But even if you don't have access to any equipment, just doing a few bodyweight exercises and doing intervals that are very effective can really help you out. Now, inside of our coaching program at Heartletics, we don't focus on cardio. We focus on NEAT, which stands for non-exercise activity thermogenesis. And we just give our members just a step goal to focus on each and every day to help them lose more body fat. Side note, if you want to learn more about how our coaching program works and how we help our members lose fat and build muscle specifically for their body types, you can just click on the link down below if you're watching this on YouTube, and the very first link in the description box is a completely free training guide that you can go ahead and download. Now let's get right back to helping you get more steps in so that way you can lose more body fat. And this is exactly what I want you to focus on with this quick tip. Every time that you have a call, do it with your cell phone standing up and just walk around. Whether you're walking around in the office, whether you're walking around outside, or whether you're just literally standing in place, moving your feet back and forth, getting some steps in just like that. This might seem so small, but guess what? This is huge when it comes to helping you just get more steps in and helping you lose more body fat. And if you can, I highly recommend investing into a stand-up desk. That has personally helped me out so much. Anytime I'm not recording these YouTube videos, I like to put my desk to a stand-up position. That way I'm constantly just moving around my office and getting more steps in that way. Let's go in the second category next, which is very important, and this is stress and when you're feeling burnt out. Hear me out. Stress is the #1 killer when it comes to guys trying to reach their fat loss goals. When you're underneath a lot of stress, you are spiking your cortisol levels, literally making it impossible for your fat loss hormones to work in your favor. And there's so many different triggers when it comes to stress. This could be stress at work, stress at home, this could be injuries, this could be sicknesses, this could be a lot of anxiety and worry. There's so many different factors when it comes to stress. But unfortunately, with most guys out there, when they're underneath a lot of stress, they're turning to either overeating or indulging in different sweets and different cravings. That's not necessarily the best thing for them. A lot of stress can also lead to drinking and smoking as a coping mechanism. And if, let's just say, you're underneath a lot of stress at work and you're bringing that home with you and you don't know how to clock out mentally, you're going to find it very difficult to find time to relax and, most importantly, just recharge your own batteries. And let's face it, the next day when you go right back into the office, the stress is still there. So now you're literally living this roller coaster ride of constant stress. Now, these 3 tips I'm going to go over next is really going to help you out when it comes to relieving some of that stress. But hear me out. As most guys, we struggle with this thing called ego and pride, and we have the hardest time asking for help. So you need to learn how to push the ego, push the pride aside, And trust me on this one. The first tip is to practice mindfulness, and this does not have to be long at all. This could be anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes of you either meditating or focusing on breath work. And I highly recommend doing this maybe just a few times throughout the course of the day. Let's say 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the afternoon, and another 5 minutes maybe in the evening time right before bed. This can really help you out with, once again, relieving some of that stress off your plate. The second tip is to set boundaries for yourself. And I understand that can be really hard for most business owners that's out there, but you need to do it. Why? Because your health is way more important than your business, plain and simple. And so maybe for you, you need to actually set cutoff times where, hey, you're clocking out and you're going home. You're spending that quality time with your family, or you're spending that time focusing on your health and fitness goals, because mentally you really need to. And the third tip, and this is where once again you're going to need to push the ego and the pride aside, and this is to rely on other people in your corner to help you out. This could be family members, this could be friends, this could be other work colleagues that you have, but you need to learn how to just say, hey, I'm struggling right now and I need some help. My pastor says this all the time and I truly love it. He always says a problem shared is a problem cut in half. So instead of you carrying those burdens all by yourself, all you need to do is literally just ask for help and vent. Get that crap off your chest and just talk to somebody. And that's why inside of our coaching program, we have a community group that's open 24/7 where anybody can go in there, ask for help, ask for guidance, where they don't feel like they're on this journey alone by themselves anymore. They have a team of other guys in their corner supporting them every single step of the way. Let's go in the next category, which is poor food choices. Most busy guys out there fall into one of these two different categories. The first category is these guys rely way too much on unhealthy fast food and processed foods. And hear me out, there is nothing wrong with eating fast food or processed foods. I do it all the time. But the difference probably between me and you is that I'm tracking my macros. I'm making sure that even if I'm eating fast food, I'm still sticking within my calorie range and trying my best to hit my macro goals. Some of these fast food meals out there are like 1,500 calories and they don't even fill you up. So if let's just say you're eating 2 or 3 meals a day, man, your calories are going to be way through the roof. No wonder you're not losing any weight. Now, the other category is the guys just don't eat anything at all. They'll skip breakfast, they'll skip lunch. They're so focused on being at work and being present, focusing on their work tasks. By the time they actually get home, they're scarfing everything down in front of them. And once again, if you're underneath a lot of stress, you could be suffering with what's called emotional eating. And you're going to get all these different cravings for, once again, foods that's not necessarily the best for you trying to lose body fat. The first tip is to plan ahead. Now that could be you actually meal prepping and spacing out all your meals. That way you're holding yourself accountable to sticking with that nutrition plan, or just tracking your macros in advance. That's what I personally like to do, to making sure that I'm hitting my nutritional targets. The second tip is actually my favorite, and that's to keep protein snacks there in your office. Personally for me, I like having protein bars and beef jerky. I know a lot of guys out there that make this mistake of having nuts and cheese sticks. And remember, if your goal is to lose body fat, you need to be in a calorie deficit. And that can be hard to do when you're eating a whole bunch of nuts and cheese sticks because it's all fat, very little protein. And the third tip is to stay hydrated. Honestly, if you drink more water, I promise you this, you're going to do 2 things. First, you're going to help curb any cravings. And the second, you're going to be getting up from your desk and going to the bathroom because you're going to be peeing constantly. Which is great because let's face it, if you're getting more steps in, you're going to be losing more body fat. That's why it's called habit stacking. The fourth category is lack of sleep. And trust me when I tell you this, as a business owner or a working professional, you need to make sure that your brain is operating properly. Personally for me, when I lack sleep, 2 things always happen. The first one is I'm just moody. I'm crabby to be around. And second, I have the worst cravings, and it's typically for foods that's not the healthiest for me. And when I lack sleep, it just makes it more difficult for me to stick with my routine and follow through with my habits. So here are 3 tips to help you out because they definitely help me. The first one is to create a nighttime routine. Personally for me, I turn off my phone, I turn off my TV, and I turn off my laptop so that way I can't do any more work. And then I'll start reading a book because every time I read, it just makes me drowsy and more tired. And as I'm reading that book, I'm also drinking sleepy time tea. And personally what I like to do is just throw a little bit of coffee creamer in the mix with 1 scoop of salted caramel protein powder. It's delicious, and at the same time, it helps me hit my protein target for the day. The second tip is to optimize your environment that you sleep in. So try your best to keep your bedroom dark, cool, and most importantly, quiet. And I highly recommend getting a sound machine, something that plays white noise. Try to go to bed every single night at the same time and try to wake up every morning at the same time. We always say that consistency is the key. And the fifth and final category is low energy levels and lacking the motivation. If you're not exercising because you're too busy juggling your business and your personal life, if let's just say you're working a sedentary job where you're constantly sitting down, you're also underneath a lot of stress, and you're not making the healthiest food choices for yourself, then you are definitely going to be lacking the energy and lacking the motivation because you're literally stuck in this vicious cycle. And I'm just being honest, you're going to need discipline if you want to get out of it. The first tip is to start small, and that is with just one habit, whether that's going for a walk, maybe doing more push-ups, whatever the case may be. Start small when it comes to moving your body more and trying your best to exercise. The second tip is to fuel your body properly. Hear me out. Food equals fuel, and this is why I'm such a fan of learning how macros work properly for your body type. And remember, it does not have to be hard at all. Odds are you probably just need patience and somebody to help guide you through the process. Brings me to the last point, and that is to have accountability. Whether that is working with a coach or having a community of people that's in your corner supporting you and guiding you can really help you out when it comes to not only improving you on your health and fitness journey so that way you can have more energy, but also holding you accountable to staying on track and constantly being in your corner, encouraging you, supporting you, and motivating you. And once again, if you want to learn a little bit more about how our coaching program works and how we help our members lose fat and build muscle for their body type, you can click on the link down below and download our free training guide. I really hope that you guys got a lot of value from today's video. If you did, definitely give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. I'm also going to put on the screen another video that you can click on, which goes over the 3 biggest mistakes that guys make over and over again and why they never have long-term success at reaching their health and fitness goals. Trust me when I tell you this, if you're somebody that's very busy and you don't know what to do when it comes to losing weight and keeping it off, you really want to make sure to go watch that video next. As always, guys, this has been Coach Joe with Heartletics.com, and I will talk to you in the next episode. Peace out, Girl Scouts.